Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, a narcoleptic comedian, and this is the podcast where I invite people into my bed and we talk about sleep, comedy, and relationships. This is episode 80, where I interviewed LA comedian Steve Gillespie. We talked about expectations in relationships, porn, the best comedy city in America, open relationships, sex on drugs, and much more. Steve also has a podcast that has a bed theme called Under Our Covers with Rihanna Andrews. You can find that anywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also follow Steve on Twitter and Instagram at EPI Gillespie. So that's EPIGILLESPIE. It's Twitter and Instagram. He's performing tonight in Denver at Wood Boss Brewery, and he'll be at the Acme Comedy Club in Minnesota from August 21st to August 25th. Sleeping with Sarah is brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah to get a free audio book of your choice. This week, I would like to recommend David Spade, A Polaroid Guy in a Snapchat World. Again, that's audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. If you like the podcast, please rate and review on iTunes, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Google Play, everywhere you listen to podcasts. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sarah Albritton. And let's get started with the show. Sleeping with Sarah. Welcome to Sleeping with Sarah. I'm Sarah Albritton, and I'm here with my guest, Steve Gillespie.
Hello, everyone.
How'd you sleep last night, Steve?
How did I sleep last night?
Yeah.
Pretty good.
Yeah?
Yeah, I slept pretty good. I'm sleeping in my nephew's room right now.
Oh, like a twin bed or something?
Yeah, it's a tiny little twin bed with stuffed animals and stuff everywhere. So it's a little strange, but yeah, I feel like I'm sleeping pretty well.
Yeah, are you like cuddled by all the stuffed animals? Like
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're next to me on the bed. There's like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle one.
Oh, that's nice that they still have those up there.
Yeah, I think there's maybe a Thomas the Train.
Okay.
That's a thing, right?
I think so. I have nephews, and but they're into like Minecraft and stuff. So
Minecraft.
Yeah, it's like this. It's like this game where
I've heard about it.
They're like picks. I don't know. Like you build things out of it. I don't know.
Yeah, the kids.
Kids today. So wait, you kicked your nephew out of his bed. Where did he sleep?
At his mother's.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
All right. Well, then that's fine.
Yep.
That's fine.
But he always does, like, he came over yesterday, and then I think it does bother him, though, because I just take over, you know? I just have all my clothes and stuff was everywhere, and...
How old is he?
I was like, stay out of my room. He's 12.
Oh, okay. So he's, yeah, that makes sense, yeah. Mm-hmm. Is he your only nephew? Do you have multiple?
He's my only nephew.
Or niece? Do you have a niece, too, or...?
I guess technically, I mean, I don't know. It's hard to, like, I have two stepbrothers that have kids, so I guess they're my nephews and nieces as well. But I guess, like, full brother, nephew, I have one.
Yeah, it's always weird, like, when your family has kids and you're like, they're looking, I don't know if your family looks at you to have kids. My family doesn't, but like they're like, they expect my brother to have all the kids.
Yeah, I don't know. I never feel pressured. I think they're just happy that I'm keeping it together somewhat, you know? I'm not asking them for money, and I'm not addicted to drugs or in jail, so I think I'm winning.
That is definitely winning.
I'm pulling it off somehow.
I think when you say, like, you do comedy, like, my brother got married a couple years ago, and I was, like, concerned. I was like, oh, no, is everyone going to ask me when I'm going to get married? But because I was doing comedy, everyone was just asking me about comedy. And I was like, okay, so just say you're doing comedy, and people won't ask that because they expect comedians to be single forever.
I always get like, well, how long are you going to do this? That's the question I get in comedy. I'm like, I don't know. Probably forever until I die. I don't know.
Yeah.
The question is that. Yeah, I think that some people in my life are ready for me to move on, but I don't know.
No, once you've done it for so long, it's like it's hard to find anything else that would...
Yeah, what am I going to do? It's, where I can get that instant feedback, you know?
That's one of the things I love about stand-up is, like, there's so many things you can put your work into, but you don't get that instant... You know, they love it or they hate it, and you know right away. Yeah. And there are very few things in life that you get that.
Yeah, I want that instant gratification. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm always chasing that high for sure.
Yeah. Yeah, it is definitely a high in a different way.
Very addictive.
Do you remember the first time where you got that first big laugh and you're like, oh, I need to do this all the time?
Yeah, I don't really remember exactly when that happened, but that's definitely, I think, what it is. Yeah, it's just chasing that high. So.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you've been doing stand-up for a while, though, right?
12 years.
12 years.
Yeah.
You started in Minneapolis?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. Started at Acme. It was my first place I ever went and did it.
Was that your first? You did an open mic at a club. That was the first.
Yeah.
Clear
I could
everything
never have a podcast in my bed.
Yeah. Is it
No
too
way.
filled?
I can't.
Too filled
I can't. Yeah, stuff.
Wait, so you don't have? I feel like a lot of guys are minimal now. So, but you've got like what do you have on your bed?
On my bed, I have well, there's no frame. It's a box spring on the floor with a mattress on top of that. And then I have a couple of pillows. I do have sheets. There's sheets on the bed.
Do you have one set of sheets or two sets of?
I have two I have two sets, and I do typically wash them fairly regularly. And then I have just a comforter. I'll just go comforter.
Yeah, just go comforter.
Comforter and two pillows. That's it.
That's it. Easy.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I'm still embarrassed to have people.
Why?
If I get like a lady in there, I'm like, dude, just keep the lights off. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it's just a dude's room.
Yeah.
It's just a bachelor dude's room.
I used to have a joke about that, about how you could tell a guy between his 20s and 30s, because it's hard to tell, like, looking at people now.
Yeah,
if
sure.
you're in your 20s or 30s, I used to have a joke about how you wouldn't know until you went home with them. And the guy in his 30s had, like, you know, everything together, had furniture, like, it looked like a Crate and Barrel catalog and stuff. Like, all of it matched, but there was no personality to it. Clearly, some people don't care, you know, if there's not a bed frame and stuff, because that still happens, right?
Sure.
But if it was like a twin bed or something, then you'd be like, no. Like, there's some things I think, like, as a woman, if I walked in on, I was like, you know, turn around and, like, leave.
Yeah. There's some deal breakers?
Yeah, like, or, like, if you're bringing somebody to somebody else's house whose couch you were sleeping on.
Yeah, yep.
You gotta have balls to do that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes a lot of balls.
A lot of game, too, I think.
A lot of stupidity.
A lot of stupidity.
Yeah.
But yeah.
But I also think girls just give guys, I don't know, I just think you guys have low expectations. If you know a guy is living by himself or has roommates, you know what I mean? I feel like you guys are like, yeah, he's a dude. This is a dude house.
Well,
it's going to be messy. It's going to be, you know.
The reason we have low expectations are because of all the people that have disappointed us throughout the years. Like, it's because of you. It's because of men disappointing us consistently for, like, all of our lives. That's why we have low expectations.
Yeah, I think maybe you guys' expectations are just too high.
Overall? Like, we just expect more?
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's just the whole, like, how you're brought up with the whole, like, prince and princess thing. You know, children's stories about girls falling in love with dirty guys.
Oh, it should be like children's stories of girls falling in love with dudes that, like, don't accomplish much.
Yeah, they don't accomplish much, and they have, like, a futon.
They don't have a palace.
No, they have, like, a studio apartment with a futon and, like, you know, yeah.
Yeah.
Jim Belushi, whatever the typical Belushi poster that every dude has that says he's like pounding a liquor bottle and it just says college on it or whatever. Like every dude that's ever
yeah, exactly, like that sort of stuff. I think it is interesting.
Is it Jim Belushi or that was the other one?
That was John. Yeah, that was John. Yeah, that was
Jim's the one that's still alive.
Yeah, Jim's the one that's still alive.
That had the show According to Jim.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I met that guy once.
But yeah, I don't know. I think it is weird how media changes us, like, as kids. Like, the stuff we're exposed to affects our relationships and perceptions of things as we get older.
Sure, and then you think about what porn's doing to everybody now.
Oh, God, yeah. Like, I mean, because when, thankfully, people that are my age, like, still had to work. Like, you had internet, but it was slow, and they couldn't get...
Yeah. I used to have a bit about it where you'd have to, like, print the pictures off. Because it would take so long.
Yeah.
And it wasn't videos, it was just images. And you didn't know what you were going to get, really, because it was like a description of the image. Mm-hmm. You have to click that. and then hope that it was actually that. And a lot of times it wasn't. It would be like some weird shit. But yeah, so you'd have to print it off. So that like kept you kind of like, I don't know. Now it's just such a free for all that like.
I think that is concerning. Like
it's really messing with people.
And I have nothing against porn. I've just usually only watched it in mixed company. Like is a thing like to turn each other on or something. But like sure. I have a very good imagination. I have a very good visual memory, you know, and I don't necessarily need that because I just use that, you know? Yeah. But there's nothing wrong with porn. I don't have a problem with it, but I've never really watched a ton of it.
Yeah.
But I can understand how like that can affect. It's like 12-year-old boys could watch it all the time. That's all they're doing. Yeah, there's no way to like stop it.
Well, it's got to like mess with how you're. I don't know how you view sex,
how you view women,
how women view men, how you know, because it's not just dudes that are watching porn.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I mean, and I think
how women view themselves, all that.
Yeah, I think that is affecting it, and that's kind of scary. I don't know how there's changes to address that.
I don't either.
Yeah.
Probably you can't stop sexuality. You know, that's not going to happen. We've tried forever to like suppress it. But
I think the thing that needs to happen is what you know, like how boys. I don't know. Were you sat down as a 12-year-old and told about like? I mean, that's no.
Told shit.
No.
Never anything. I never had any of the conversations.
Gotcha.
I think that's like part of the problem with all of, you know, it's come to light over the last year of just kind of like male behavior, whatever you want to call it, all the assault and harassment stuff. And I think some of that, you know, it makes me think like, yeah, it's absolutely bad, horrible stuff. And like guys need to be, people that are the culprits need to be punished and all that. And I totally agree. But if we're really like trying to stop it, we got to figure out where it's coming from and where it starts. And like, and I think that there's such a lack of information for both sides, but for men and like how we're supposed to like treat people, you know, and women and like how sex works and how like seduction works and like we're given no information really, and then especially when you're younger in your teens and your 20s and your hormones are like out of control and you're just like don't know how to deal with it, and then like the only information you're really given and the only advice you're given is like keep it in your pants, or
know? Wrap it up,
yeah, and you're like okay, you know.
And the problem is I think is also in media. Like you think about some of the famous kisses throughout, like you know, like Empire Strikes Back when Han kisses Leia, she's pushed up against a wall in the spaceship, and she's saying no, I don't think you're like, you know, he's like you like me because I'm strange. She's like no, and then he kisses her, and that's supposed to be a romantic. Because the thing is in those stories. Because it's usually written by men. In those stories, it's like the girl keeps like saying no to finally says yes. And then that, I think, affects...
Absolutely.
It's in some way. But I think we also need to be teaching young women that sex is for them, you know? And for their pleasure. And and I think that's something that hasn't been tapped into. If and when I ever have like a daughter, I would, and I don't care how uncomfortable that would make her, you know, but I would talk to her and be like, hey, it's not just about the guy's pleasure. Sex is for you too, you know, and you should enjoy sex. Because I think there are too many women that are apathetic about sex because they haven't had good sex because they don't think about it in terms of their pleasure. They think, oh, this is what the guy wants to do.
Yeah, I think you're onto something with that because I think a lot of times too, like the way I was not raised by my parents, but just raised by society is that you think that sex is something that that men have to like get from women, like trick them into it almost, you know? And especially even just saying like, oh, it's your gift, you know, your virginity is your gift. No, it's, I mean, I think that if we teach women to enjoy sex and I, even though I wasn't a porn watcher, I was a very young masturbator, you know, like for a woman, you know, I was like, I think I started when I was curious. I was like 12 and figuring things out. But because I figured things out and I played with myself, I really know how to make myself orgasm when I'm with a guy. So I usually always get there because I know my body well enough. And I think that's a problem a lot of women have. So if anyone's listening, if you don't orgasm regularly during sex, play with yourself more, figure out what works and use that.
I don't know how many people listen to this for sex advice, but I strongly... but I think that that's something that not a lot of people do or talk about, at least. And I think if you do that, then more women would have, like, the enthusiastic consent. I'm all about, like, the fuck yes or no philosophy. Like, if it's... Because the times I've had sex with guys that I've been like, meh, I don't know if I want to, you know, and I did anyways, it's always been, like, meh, you know?
Yeah.
Or it's been, like...
Well, yeah, because you weren't
excited.
into it.
Yeah, I wasn't as excited about it. So I was like... A while back, I was like, I only want to... Unless I'm, like... If I'm... like really excited, I'm like, fuck yes, I want to have sex with that person. If it's not that, then it's a no.
Yeah,
I'll make out with the person and then be like, all right, I'm gonna go home. But that's, and I don't know. I think that that's the issue we have with a lot of people in those awkward situations, and not knowing how to communicate that. And it takes a while. Like when I was 18, I definitely didn't have the ability to communicate what I wanted, right? Mm-hmm. And so I think it's all these differences, and as we become hopefully more open about sexuality in society, we can stop having that Puritan view of it and actually
and I think that's a lot to do with what's happened too, is this, I mean, America does have some weird sexual hang-ups, and I think that does lend to having predatory behavior, you know? Because then it's like women aren't comfortable expressing themselves in it, because sex is supposed to be like a real like sacred and then like secret thing that you're not even really supposed to. If you do enjoy it, there's something wrong with you, or if you're just like, you know what I mean. So I feel like that kind of lends to like a control thing, you know, where women's sexuality has been like they're trying to like harness it and suppress it, and then that lends to predatory behavior.
Yeah.
So yeah, I'm definitely very into like open and sex positive. I think that's a thing that's important in our society that needs to be pushed.
I totally agree. Like, I think, and that's what's interesting is there's so many different types of relationships, so many different types of sexuality now, and even just gender identity. I have a lot of friends that are switching to they and them and, you know, pronouns and that sort of thing. And I think that that's really good that we're sharing that and we're being more open about that. But of course, I live in a very liberal city, so I don't know how it is like in, like you're from Minneapolis.
It's also really liberal.
Also, okay.
Yeah, it's really, really liberal.
Okay.
Super gay city.
In the best possible way.
Yes, and it's great. It is my favorite city in the United States.
Really?
Yeah.
Why?
Sure.
Not just because of all the comedy clubs.
Yeah, well, that helps. But I think the arts there are taken very seriously, and it shows. I think that it's a very progressive city, and it's a very green city. Like there's something like somewhere between 10 and 15 lakes within the Twin Cities area, like within the cities.
So when you say city, do you mean Minneapolis and St. Paul combined, or do you mean...
the Twin Cities? I mean, they are connected.
Okay,
so,
I wasn't sure, like if it's like one is better than the other.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of people like, you know, there's like, oh, St. Paul is not as cool as Minneapolis, but St. Paul is just older and more like family oriented, but it's cool. It's still cool. There's like really cool museums. They have a really good theater district there. But yeah, like the music scene in Minneapolis is unbelievable, and it's just a cool place. And like it was voted the most bike friendly city in America. It beat Portland.
Yeah. That's saying something.
So it's just an active, environmental friendly, art driven city. Yeah. So I think it's a cool place, and it's kind of isolated too, which I think is cool. I mean, we're 6 hours from Chicago. That's like the next biggest, you know, that's like the next big city, basically.
Oh wow! So yeah, that is pretty.
Yeah. So.
But I like
it.
Yeah, that's kind of like where I grew, because I grew up in Louisville, which also has a lot of art. So they like have a ballet, they've got an opera, they got theater, art, good music scene, you know. So they, I grew up in a smaller city as well that had all those things, and I think it's really important to have that creativity and that exposure to art at a young age, and at least know that it's out there and that hey, you can do this if you want to. You don't have to, but there's more to life than just like working.
Yeah, and I mean, I've traveled all over the country doing stand-up, and every place is not like that.
Yeah?
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot of places where you're like, it's just sterile, you know?
Or like all the community interaction comes from the church.
Or sports.
Or sports, yeah.
Yeah.
Or the bar.
Or the bar, yeah. You just drink and cheer for the Packers or whatever your team is.
Yeah.
Know? Yeah. And that's fine. I like sports too. It's not like it's fine, but, you know, I like to have a variety of things going on.
Yeah, me too. I like to keep busy and like, I don't know. That's why I love living in a city, because there's just always stuff going on. If there's anything you want to go do, like rock climbing, you were talking about, you can go find 5 different places that you could go to and go rock climbing.
Yeah.
Versus, you know, anywhere else. But what's cool is how people create a scene like that. Like cities don't just start like that, you know. There have to be people that bring that to the city, and then the city kind of...
And they're all evolving too, right? I mean, some cities get worse, some cities get better.
Some people have a resurgent. Like I feel like
Detroit.
Like, I feel like Detroit in the next like 10 years is going to really grow and become.
Yeah, I mean a lot of the artists have moved there because it's so cheap.
Well, and also the big lofts and stuff they have, and like I feel like Detroit is going to have like a renaissance of their own, where they're going to become like a cool hotbed for arts and creativity and that sort of thing.
Yeah.
But yeah, and so you have Minneapolis, and then you've just lived in Minneapolis, and then you went to LA?
I went to LA. Yep, I've been in LA for about almost 3 years now.
Yeah. So you started...
I still have an apartment in Minneapolis.
Oh, you do?
That's how much I love Minneapolis.
Well, and also, an apartment in Minneapolis is probably cheaper than a parking spot in LA. Like, that's also probably why.
Yeah. I mean, Minneapolis isn't that cheap, actually.
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty expensive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I was actually doing work recently. I was PAing for a company out of Minneapolis. They were doing work.
Which company?
It was Micro Gigantic, I think is the name of the film company.
Okay.
But they were doing stuff with like, we were doing like a film documentary thingy. So they were in town for like 6 or 7 days, and that was fun.
That's tight.
Yeah. They were all from Minneapolis or St. Paul. I get them mixed up. I'm sorry. So did you go to school at all, or did you just
I went to the University of Minnesota.
What'd you study?
I went to grad school.
Wait, you have a graduate degree?
I have a graduate degree.
And wait, so what do you have your graduate degree in?
Economics.
Economics? My brother studied economics in college, but he's not an economist right now.
Yeah, I'm not either. Actually. Yep, and then I got that, and then I started doing stand-up after I got out of school. And now here I am.
Yeah.
Doing a podcast in a lady's bed.
A lady. Oh, that makes you sound... it either makes you feel old or like... it's like, I don't know if that makes you feel old or like regal. Lady.
I can't call you a girl.
Yeah. No.
I mean, I don't think you're old.
No, I'm not old, but I'm not...
How old are you?
What? That is something I'm not going to share on my podcast.
You want to say your own age on your own podcast?
No, because I don't know, because I look, people keep telling me I look like I'm like 22. I'm not 22, but I can pull it
So you're
off.
just holding that on? You're holding on to the 22?
Why not?
Oh,
No.
Can I guess?
Sure, you can guess.
No, I'm not playing that.
You asked to play that game.
I know, and then right when it came out of my mouth, I was like, bad idea.
But I mean, the thing is that I don't want actually putting my age out there to affect what roles I could or could not get. And as a woman, if I'm going out to LA like that, I've heard that that's a big thing. So I say I can play between 18 and 30. That's what I put on my resume.
Yeah. You know, I would say that you're right around somewhere between 18 and 30.
Yeah. That's what I put. I know. I shouldn't care, but if it didn't affect my career or possibility of getting roles, I wouldn't care, you know?
Sure.
So, I mean, like, I have no idea how you are. I'm guessing, like, so you went to grad school and then you started comedy.
Yeah, you're doing
and then 12 years. Yeah, now I'm thinking math.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking, like, 36?
Is exactly what I am.
36?
Yeah.
Because I'm decent at math.
Yeah.
But so 12 years. So you just went all in on comedy after grad school?
Pretty much, yeah. Yeah, I mean, I had a job, you know, for a little bit. But once I got about, 4 or maybe 5 years in, I just quit that job and was doing stand-up full-time, traveling around and I do a lot of road stuff, so.
Yeah, so because Minneapolis, you said, is really good for growing and being able to do more time and get a lot of spots, and so 4 or 5 years in, and so then you were able to do comedy full time after 5 years?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like rich or anything, but yeah.
That's awesome. That's really great.
Yeah.
And then, yeah, that's really cool. And then you've had a couple albums and stuff.
2 albums,
right? Yeah.
yep. Mm-hmm. My last album came out in May, this past May. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It hit number 1 on iTunes. Mm-hmm. Made the Billboard charts.
Oh, did?
Yeah.
That's cool. Awesome. So then are you like somebody that throws all that material?
No.
Okay.
No, I mean, I'm trying. Mm-hmm. I've written probably another half hour that's usable. Mm-hmm. I've been doing halves at the Comedy Bar this weekend here in Chicago. And I think I've been able to do nothing from my album. I think I've been able to pull that off. So I've written about a new half hour. But if I have to do an hour, it would be some stuff that I'll have to pull up.
But I mean, I think that's hard. Like, I know some people just completely throw everything out, and it's like, if it still works for your life, I guess.
Well, I mean, that's the thing. Is like being hired to go be funny, so I can't. Like, yeah, I'll throw new stuff in there, but I have to be able to put a show together that's still gonna get, a laughs and I'm getting paid. So
you can't just like fuck around up there.
I can't just workshop shit while I'm getting paid.
That's a good point.
Yeah.
And so, are you a person that believes like? I've always had this conversation. Like, so there's like the people that believe like as a stand-up, it's your job to be an entertainer and to make people laugh, and then there are people that believe you need to talk about your own shit, and like they will find it funny, like your point of view.
I lean more towards the latter, which I think is the second thing. But you still got to be funny. So
still have your point of view, but you have to be funny.
Yeah. I think it's both. I mean, I think that you can't just, I talked about what I wanted to talk about, and it was super serious and not funny at all. Okay, well, it's still stand-up comedy.
Yeah.
But I definitely, as I've been doing it more and more, I'm leaning more and more towards, my point of view and trying to say the things that I want to say, and hopefully people come around to it. And yeah.
Well, doing all these other little towns and stuff where they might not have the same political point of views and that sort of thing. You found that be weird, or?
Yeah, I mean, I do a lot of that. Not a lot, but I do have, hey, we tied in this crazy one-nighter into the club week in some small town. And you're like, all right. And then when that happens, I usually rely on room skills more than anything. When that's just like dicking around with the crowd and just entertaining at that point.
Because you don't want to make it awkward. You still want people to have a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I'll still like slip in my stuff, but I'll figure out ways to
not make it
kind of cover it, where they're like, yeah, they were weird about that, but here's the next 5 minutes of something else that
gotcha,
do the job. But yeah, I've definitely had some hard shows out there because of that.
Yeah, and I know people that have had like walkout. Yeah, people like that.
Yeah.
I mean, and that's fine. Like, but some people have been like, I was happy to have them walk out because they clearly.
Yeah, it happens. I mean, it's happened in just regular club shows where just a table, they just don't, for whatever reason, they're just not into what you're doing.
Yeah. I mean, like, it's different if you're like doing an abortion, versus other things. But yeah, I think that is an interesting way to go about that. And so what's your favorite, like, other than Minneapolis, what's your favorite place to perform?
Madison, Wisconsin is great. I like that club a lot. There's a lot of cool places.
That's Comedy Club on State, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
That's actually where I did my last album. I do like Chicago too. Chicago's great. Portland's cool. Seattle's cool. I like LA. Some places, like Venice, is a really fun place to perform. Yeah. Yeah, Venice has got a good vibe.
Yeah, Venice has got a lot of weirdos. And I mean that in a great way. Like,
you can definitely get darker there than you can, I feel like, in the city. Like in LA. Yeah.
That's cool. Mm. And you live by Venice, right? You said, or is it?
Pretty close, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that seems like a fun area.
Yeah. It's definitely a very art-oriented spot.
Yeah. So how long have you been out in LA?
3 years.
3 years.
Almost 2.5.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Mm-hmm. And you've done like Conan and some other things
Conan,
up there.
yeah.
How was that?
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nerve-wracking.
Were you terrified?
Cool.
Like.
Yeah, I was terrified.
Yeah. So what is it? You submit? What's the process to get on Conan?
Well, I had just a few people recommend me to the booker. Mm-hmm. My first album I did with Rooftop Comedy, and I got to know those guys. That's out of San Francisco. Did some stuff for them, did some festivals, and then the guy was just, basically just recommended me to the Conan booker. Then a couple other comedians did, Rory Scovel, a couple other guys. Yeah. And then I had a bunch of tapes ready to go, of sets and stuff.
Prepared.
Yeah. And, got it over to him, and he watched some of them and liked some of it and asked me to put together a set of some of the bits that he liked, and then I did that, and then he gave me notes on that, and I redid it again, and
how many times did you have to redo it?
It took a long time. It took probably the whole process. Once he contacted me, it was probably about a year, maybe. Oh, even
wow.
more. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So.
And did you have to keep being like, hey, give me 5 minutes of this club? Like, how do you keep getting those?
Well, that's where Acme was huge in Minneapolis, because I could just show up any night and be like, hey, I need to do 5 minutes.
Oh, that's so great.
And they're like, yeah, of course.
I've heard really great things about that club.
Yeah, it's amazing. It's in my opinion the best club in the world. But I'm biased for sure.
Yeah.
But yeah, so that they were a huge help, and I was able to just get it out.
And so this is when you were still living in Minneapolis.
Yeah, I was, the beginning of the process I was still in Minneapolis, and then maybe the last half of it I was still in LA, but I would just go back to Minneapolis and make the tapes when I needed to make them, because it was just a hard thing to do, is to find a great audience and a great place to tape in LA on like a very like short notice. And
that's why a lot of people I know will fly back to Chicago for a week and be like, hey, I need as many 5-minute sets as possible. Yeah. Everybody knows what's up when they say that. And so they're like,
exactly,
because don't they like, so the material you've been working on to build this is like older, like, because by the time they call you it's like 6 months later, right?
Oh, yeah,
like,
it's definitely older stuff. Yeah.
So then you hadn't, so what do you do? So they call you, how much lead time did they give you before you're on Conan?
Well, they told me that he's like, you're gonna get a date. And then I was just waiting, and it took a while. I mean, it was probably months, and then they just called me on a Friday, and they're like, you're gonna be on Monday.
Oh, that Monday?
Yeah.
And then so you had to like kind of hurry up and do a lot of sets.
Well, I mean, at that point I had done the set 1,000 many times, so I didn't really feel like I needed to keep doing it. So yeah, I think I did a couple sets over the weekend, but I didn't even really do the set. I just went on stage. And then
is it weird not knowing that you can't change your set? Like they've approved it the way it is?
Yeah, I mean, I think if I did it again, I would be more just loose with it. If something comes up, and just do it and whatever. Yeah. And as long as it's
mad.
not, I mean, as long as it's not like dirty or whatever, it'd be fine. But yeah, I think I got in my head a little bit about it the first time, and was, I think, just too tight and like too like, okay, I need to do this joke exactly this way, and this, you know what I mean, instead of just being like in the moment of the set. I was very like robotic.
Well, I know that they're really hard about that from people I know that have also been on, like, I know someone that was like on America's Got Talent and things like that, and like you can't change. So if the joke isn't going well, you can't like. Yeah, you gotta keep. You're not allowed to change it. Yeah. And I don't think a lot of people understand that. Yeah, it's hard. But that's like fun.
If I get another shot, I think I'll be a lot more comfortable.
I'm sure you will. So then what's the next thing? You send them, hey, here's a new 5-minute tape, and then you wait another.
Yeah, I did it already. I sent a few, and he was like, he wasn't really into the last one I sent, so I'm still working on it, but he's watching them, so. Well, hey, that's a step, yeah. Yeah.
That's still like a big deal. That's pretty awesome. I really like what Conan's been doing,
Yeah, he's been putting a lot of stand-up up, so that's good.
I think that's really cool. And, and also just like how he's done his stuff. Like I was so pissed when all that changeover happened, and like he kind of got screwed out of his job, and like I was like, that's so uncool. But you know, he took like a year to vent and then he created something that's been really cool.
Yeah, I mean, it sucks. So they had to like throw away all their bits. Like they couldn't do any of the old bits. And they didn't own it. And that's a frustrating stuff. Something that you've written. Was awesome.
Because he was on, he had the other show for like 10, 15 years?
Yeah, I think so.
And he had all that stuff that he had built, and you're not allowed. Like, I think that's the frustrating thing about some of these like bureaucratic things with like ownership of things. And like that's why I feel so much for Cameron and Rhea with their show that they filmed for CISO. They filmed a second season of that show, and because CISO is kaput.
Yep. It's over?
Yeah, they can't unless somebody else buys it. And it's like, that is like heartbreaking to have something that you can't own. Something that you create isn't yours. And I think that's like a frustrating thing with the industry.
Yeah, it really is one of the many frustrating things.
I know that there's a bunch. There's a lot of bureaucratic BS stuff, but it's still, I don't know. To me, I think it's still worth it going through that to be able to do what you love.
I think so.
You think so?
Still? I don't know. I just want to move out to the woods. That's what I keep thinking nowadays.
You're going to be like Thoreau and just go out to the woods.
Just go to the woods, live off the land. It seems so nice. And just have a garden.
You can have a garden in LA.
Some chickens. I guess. Sort of. Not really. There isn't really yards.
Really?
Not really, no. I mean, I guess it depends where you want to live.
Things will grow. In Chicago, things will grow.
Yeah, things can grow. That's true.
Yeah. But your girlfriend lives in Minneapolis, right? Yeah. So how do you guys work? How does that work?
Like the long distance?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard. It's hard, definitely. I think we're kind of getting to the point where we're like, don't want to do that anymore.
Yeah.
I mean, it's fine. I mean, we're fine and all that, but it's just like, it's getting old.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're getting sick of like...
And you've been long distance for like 2 years? Yeah.
Ever since we known each other.
Oh, ever since... So wait, the relationship started long distance?
Yeah. I met her in Milwaukee.
Wow. Yeah. So that's different. Like, I get like dating someone for like a year and then you have to go long, but like, wow.
Yeah.
So you must have really liked each other if you're like, all right. Like,
yeah. I mean, we've been able to spend a lot of time together. It's just that we'll spend like a month together and then it'll be like 2 months where we're not together type of thing. So. And
is that why you are poly? Is that right? Is that not the right term for what you...
I don't know what the term would be, to be honest. We are open sexually. But we're not dating there isn't like extra relationships going on.
Yeah, so it's not like a primary or secondary relationships.
None of that.
It's just you don't have to be celibate for 2 months.
We talk a lot about it. We've had a lot of conversations about it. We have a podcast about it.
Which is also a kind of under the covers. It's
covers is called Under Our Covers is what it's called, and it's great. It's a good podcast. You should check it out. We talk a lot about relationships, kink, drugs, all kinds of stuff. Because we're both into psychedelics, and
have you had sex on mushrooms?
Yes. Sex on acid, sex on Molly.
Oh, interesting.
Sex on everything.
Yeah, so you've had sex on everything.
Yeah.
Have you ever tried the weed lube?
No, I haven't.
I've wanted to try that. I haven't tried that. That would be fun.
Yeah. But yeah, so we are... I don't know, it's kind of evolved. You know, at first we were like, yeah, we wanted to be poly, and then as we got into the relationship, we were like, yeah, we really wanted to just focus on each other for now. And then with a possibility of it being open in the future. And I think that's kind of where we're at right now, is we're just really focusing on trying to get our stuff figured out. And
that's smart.
Yeah.
It's good that what I like about the openness of a relationship is that they're open to talk about it. Instead of someone just going off and cheating, you would talk about it. And for me, I think I like the idea of an open relationship or a poly situation, but probably up into the point where I fall in love. And I'm not sure if I'm in love with someone, how you know.
Yeah, how does that work?
I don't know. I don't know how that would work. And it might be different if there is like... I know in the lifestyle I'm going into, I understand traveling and those sorts of things. And like if it's like, oh yeah, not in town, that makes sense or whatever. But I'm not sure how I'd feel if we were both living in the same city and there all the time. Like, so I understand how that can evolve and change and differ.
Yeah, it can. We've definitely, I wouldn't say fighting isn't the right word, but we've definitely had like extensive conversations about it, and just basically just like, you know, keeping an open mind, but also being honest with ourselves and each other is like what we need and want and all that.
But that's what I think I like about the people that are open about being poly or open, is that they will have those conversations versus people that don't, where they're like, well, I'm bored with this, I'm just going to go do whatever. That's, I think I think that's why I'm really attracted to those situations, because at least you start out with an open and honest understanding and being like, hey, if something isn't working, we'll have a conversation about it and then we'll make it work, instead of what most people do. Yeah. Because most of society isn't monogamous anyways. That's just most people don't know about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Then I think that's what I've liked about those kinds of relationships. And I feel like more and more people I know are part of it, or it's not as taboo or something. But that's what people like in our generation, I guess. Like generation above, I guess that was a bit more.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely seems to be becoming more and more of a mainstream idea. Yeah. But it still makes a lot of people uncomfortable. Like, I bring it up on stage. I'll try to talk about it. I mean, I do talk about it on stage, and like literally every time, and you can feel the tension in the audience when it comes up. Oh, because
they're married couples.
Well, some of them, yeah, a lot of couples, yeah, for sure. But you know, I think I mean, people aren't stupid. They have to know that this is a thing that's happening out there in the world, you know. And maybe they're uncomfortable because they're just like, oh, that's what I want, but I don't feel comfortable telling my partner, or I bet my partner wants that, but they don't feel comfortable talking to me about, you know what I mean?
And that's the thing. It's just about being open and honest enough with your partner to be able to have those conversations. Yeah. And I hope at least that by when I date people, or, you know, if I let them know, hey, like, I'm bisexual, I'm very open-minded, right now I'm in a poly sort of mindset, that if it did get serious, that we'd be open enough to be able to talk about it. Yeah. And that opens up being that. I think just by saying those things, it's like, oh, it's okay to come to me and talk to me about this stuff.
And that builds trust too, you know. Yeah. And that's a big thing, is the trust. And I mean, she's bisexual as well, so.
And it's like, honestly, if you can't give her something that she's attracted to, you know, like, then that's something to not even. And I feel like a lot of people are like, yeah, if it's like the same sex, then that's fine, because there's no competition there.
Yeah, and it's hot. Anyway.
Yeah, and it's hot. And it's like, yeah, wait, tell me in detail what you did. It's like, be more specific.
Yeah.
Wait, I had to go back to really quick the drugs and sex real quick. What was the, like, I think with me, mushrooms, I love mushrooms, but I couldn't imagine, like, did the people stay the same people? Like, what kind of stuff, like, did you hallucinate on top of the sex? I'm curious.
Oh, as far as, okay. No, I mean, they don't, like, shape shift into something.
Well, I don't know.
I'm not all of a sudden fucking, like, a dragon or something.
That would be weird.
Yeah. No, that's not really how those drugs work, I don't think. Yeah, it's never been weird. I mean, the thing about psychedelics like that is, like, I feel like once you're in a certain mindset, you're kind of in it, you know. So if you're like feeling sexual and the other person's feeling sexual, and like you're on those drugs, it's going to be an enhanced sexual experience, you know.
Got it.
The only times that it's got, like, maybe gets weird is like if, and it has happened where, you know, we'll be on those types of things, and it'll be like something will shift in my mind, or something will get awkward or whatever.
Or you see like a shadow, and that's like
just like a regular, you know, just like regular life, you know. If you're sober and you're having sex and something awkward happens, you can overcome it pretty easily. You both laugh it off. But sometimes, like, being in like a heightened state of like psychedelia, those little awkward moments can turn into something bigger in your brain, and then it's like, oh, I gotta just shut this off right now because I'm just not in that mind space anymore. So those are the types of things that could happen. But most of the time it's just
good. Yeah.
You're just having fun.
Yeah. No, I think that's good. I guess I feel with mushrooms, like, sometimes you can feel something and that's almost like an orgasm. Like, this feels so soft. This feels so good. Yeah. So, like, on top of that, having sex just seems
it can
almost too much, in my opinion. Yeah. It's like, I mean, I guess that's a good thing. Like, too much, whatever.
Yeah, but it can be really enhanced for sure. Absolutely.
That's cool.
And then, I mean, I really enjoy doing MDMA, and that is like a great.
I've heard that. I haven't done that, but.
So throw that on top of your psychedelics, and you're probably gonna have a real good time. Sex wise.
Okay, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, I mean, be safe, everybody.
Yeah, be safe. Yes.
Be safe. Do your research. Know who you're getting your drugs from. Know what the drugs are. Test them out.
Yeah.
Measure them out.
Make sure you're comfortable. Make sure your partner is probably both of you have taken that drug on a different occasion.
Yep.
And
all those things.
And know that's very important. And also like safe words or those kinds of things. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I definitely agree with all the safety and all of that.
Consent and safety.
Consent and enthusiastic consent.
Enthusiastic,
yes. Somebody wants you to have sex, you should want to say fuck yes.
Yeah. I think the problem, I've been talking about this on stage, is like where we got all our sex education when I was growing up was like through our creepy uncles. That's who, like, seriously, that's I grew up with like a whole town like of just creepy uncles because all my friends had weird uncles.
Oh, weird.
You know what I mean? They were just always like, they always like lived in like an offshoot of the house somewhere. They had like their own weird room, and they had a waterbed and mullets and
waterbeds.
And that's who you got your weed from. And they always had porn. So they're just like the sleazy guy. That's just because our parents weren't talking to us about sex. Their schools weren't really talking to us about sex. There just wasn't any information out there. So then it's just like these sleazy fucking weird guys.
Yeah, I had older sisters that it was their job basically. Like they're half sisters, but we're really close, so I don't think of that. But like we didn't grow up together. We grew up, they're quite a bit older than me. Yeah. So but they were they told me about it. So it was like kind of cuz my parents I guess didn't want to talk about it. But I don't know. So wait, the sleazy uncle thing. Do you feel like it's your job now to talk to your nephew about it? Cuz you're like
I haven't even thought about it.
Do you need to pass down the sleazy uncle thing and be like...
I don't know. I feel like, I'm definitely not going to give him drugs or porn. I don't think I'm going to be the one to do it. I don't think so.
I feel like there's just so much information. I just hope that kids,
nowadays
I feel like kids hopefully don't look at the wrong thing, and they're like, oh, that's how sex is supposed to be all the time. Okay, and it's something really outrageous and it like terrifies the kids or something.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing too with just porn, like it's all out there. There's nothing, you're going to find it. They're going to find it.
Yeah.
So hopefully.
Well, I mean, everything's on the internet to do that, like.
Yeah, everything.
Everything.
Yeah. And
I don't know, I think that's why I still like having these live forms of entertainment is because it's there, it's live, it's happening in the moment. Mm-hmm. It's not something that is...
Yeah, that makes stand-up pretty special.
Yeah. And I think that's also why it's been growing in recent years as well. Mm-hmm. It's an experience. Yeah, you can watch it on Netflix. It's not the same in person,
Yeah, no, definitely not.
No.
Definitely not.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for doing the podcast.
Yeah, it was fun. Thanks, Sarah.
And we always end by saying good night. So good night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Oh, wait, sorry.
Uh-oh.
I forgot one more question.
Oh, no.
There's always a question I end with. Sorry. As we're winding down the podcast, I always ask people what your dreams are for the future.
My dreams?
Your dreams or goals?
What are your dreams?
What are your dreams?
Oh, I think I already talked about it. I want to just live in the forest.
You just want to live in the forest?
I really do. I want to live in the forest. I want to have like a bunch of land in the forest. Mm-hmm. And then I'm just going to have all these weird little nooks in the land. Like weird like forest fairy nooks,
Oh, like hidden rooms?
Hidden rooms and like just like it would be like a weird gnome garden just in the like... out in the land somewhere, like you turn a corner and there's just like this like beautiful garden with benches and weird gnomes and stuff, and
or like some sort of puzzle you have to figure out and then the door opens.
Just all kinds of crazy shit, and like have like art everywhere and like it'll light up at night, like the whole forest will light up at night.
That sounds like a really cool.
That's my dream.
That sounds awesome.
Yeah,
that sounds like something like people want to go visit.
Exactly.
Gillespie's garden.
Yeah, there's weird parties and stuff out there.
Yeah, that sounds awesome.
Shows and stuff.
Oh yeah, outdoor shows and parties and this weird cool garden.
That's my dream.
That's a cool dream.
Seems like a good dream, right?
That does. I like that. It seems like something you would actually like dream of at night, and then like be like, yeah, that's awesome. Let's make that happen.
It's weird. My dreams used to be like, oh, I wanted a special and I want to do it. And now I don't know if I'm just getting old and I just.
Or you just know that's going to happen eventually. It's just more time. It became
work now. So now like my dreams aren't work.
That's interesting because you've been doing it so long, like as a job. Mm-hmm. That's more like a career goal than a dream.
Yeah, exactly.
Awesome.
So, what are your dreams?
Oh, well, my dreams are probably more career focused like that. Like, it's like, I want to eventually create, like, I'd love, for a show that me and my writing partner came up with to come to fruition, whether it's the show that we've been working on or another show or one of our ideas, that would be really awesome. I'd love to do, I'd love to obviously have specials, like, the half hour or even the 15-minute Netflix ones or
that'd be cool.
One of those things to be able to do this like comedy in some capacity, comedy writing, comedy acting, like whatever, like something to do with comedy full time and make that a living and a career. That is the biggest goals. I don't care in what way I'm doing it, just to be able to do that full time is a big goal.
Yeah.
Like, and that's all I have to do. Like, and that would be awesome just to go in every day and like work on stuff that I love.
Yeah. Cool.
Yeah.
That's a good dream.
Yeah. So yeah, that's no weird. I mean, I guess to have the money to be able to travel every year would be cool. To go to a different country and just explore different world. That would be also another thing because I love traveling. But yeah, that's pretty simple. Like most comedians, I just want to do this for a living. Yeah, and I've got a lot of other like general goals. Like eventually I want to write a book and like do other things, but those are the big ones.
Cool.
Yeah. Well, thanks so much for doing the podcast. And good night, everybody.
See you guys.
Thanks for listening to the podcast where I slept with Steve Gillespie. Be sure to check out Steve at the Acme Comedy Club in Minnesota from August 21st to the 25th and follow him on Instagram and Twitter at EPI Gillespie. And check out his podcast, Under Our Covers. Please remember to subscribe and rate and review on iTunes, iHeartRadio, and SoundCloud. We're brought to you by Audible.com. Please go to audibletrial.com/sleepingwithsarah. I'm releasing a new podcast each week. Be sure to tune in to find out who I have in bed with me next. Thanks to Josh Bryant for the music. You can find out more on sleepingwithsarah.com. And please follow me on Twitter at Sarah Albritton. Until next time, good night.
Sleeping with Sarah.